All right, Buster Posey, it's been a very quiet week, but you did have some really good news, and I know it wasn't very quiet in the suite here.
Yeah.
You guys moved up from 15 to 4 in the lottery. You were down there, you did the show, you kind of talked about what it means to be that high a pick. Giants have had a lot of success with top 5 picks. How big is that for you?
I mean, it's huge. A little bit of good fortune, you never know. I mean, could change the trajectory of a team for 10 plus years or more. So, now the fun part starts debating kind of who we think might fall into that, or not fall, but be there when we pick fourth. And watching Michael Holmes, our scouting director, walk around these last 24 hours, he's got a little extra pep in his step. So it'll be fun to you're hoping when you pick right there, you find an impact player that can help you win a lot of games at the big league level for a long time.
I've seen him. He's just holding up 4 fingers everywhere he goes. He's excited about this. It has been a very quiet week, not just for you guys, but in the industry in general. Has that surprised you at all?
I don't know. I mean, this is my second year doing it, so I don't know how different this is from last year. For us last year, we signed Adamas right before the winter meetings and knew that was probably going to be our big move. Yeah, I think you somewhat alluded to it in the first question. It's quiet as far as news. It's certainly not quiet on the suite. There's a lot of different ideas being thrown around amongst ourselves and then with other teams. And I learned last year you think you might have something and you don't, and maybe you think you have something again and you don't, and a lot of times you don't. So that's kind of the way things are.
As a catcher, you're able to control the game. As an executive, you have to be patient. Is it hard for you as we sit here in mid-December to just be patient and know that there's still a ton of players out there?
I don't think it's hard. I mean, I think I just understand that that's part of it. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's hard. I mean, I think everybody would tell you that, you wish you could sign and trade for every player that you want, but the reality is that's just not going to happen. I mean, I had to be patient as a player when I was 0 for 15 and wanting to, try to find a way to get some sleep at night. So it's part of it, and we'll keep going and see what we can do to try to improve the team that we feel is in a really good spot to we really feel like we're right there. We're right there to getting back to where we all want to go and know that the Giants belong.
A lot has been made this offseason about maybe financially where you guys are at. How would you describe to fans maybe where you're at and what you're able to take to Greg at times?
Yeah, I mean, the way I would describe it is that Greg and the rest of the ownership group, from my experience, has always been very willing to listen. So if we find a player that we think is going to help us win games and compete for a World Series, they'll listen on it. At the same time, I mean, they're pragmatic people as well, and so that's part of my job is being able, and Zach's job being able to say we believe in this player, and then there's a conversation to be had with them. But I go back to the Devers trade last year. It's not like we took on a guy making
$260.
We took on a lot of money, and so the willingness is there. Just it needs to make sense for us.
When you look forward and maybe what you're looking at with some of these long-term contracts, how much in the back of your head is the potential of labor uncertainty and not knowing how much you'll lose a year from now and what this roster might look like 3 years from now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, like you said, I think it's in the back of your head. I mean, ultimately, the way I try to think about it is like our job is to win in 26. Like I mentioned earlier that we feel like we have a team that's right there and capable of doing that. So that's really how I'm approaching it is we're trying to construct a roster that we feel like is going to be great in 26.
I know there's some things that you don't necessarily want to talk about in terms of like qualifying offers, stuff like that. One thing that in the past, I think there's a perception that maybe this new front office doesn't like opt out as much as the previous one, which gave him out quite often. You guys have done the big deal with Willie. Obviously, you take on Devers, a big, just traditional deal. When you see some of these other deals that do have the opt-outs now, how do you feel after doing a year of this and maybe having these conversations with agents?
I'm definitely not opposed to them. Again, I just think that you're weighing, like any deal that you're going to do, you're weighing the upside and the downside of it and how that does impact you in the short term and the long term. But no, definitely not opposed to it.
I remember after a year of Farhan doing this, he said, I kind of looked around and said, young pitching that's a huge hole in this organization. A couple drafts where they basically only take pitchers. Is there anything over the last year when you've just sat back and watched and you go like, this is one area that we can really target and get better at?
I mean, on the position player side, I mean, I think it's probably pretty obvious based on some of the trades we've made and how we've drafted. I'm a believer in contact and that you can develop power if you've got somebody that can put the ball in play. So that's probably, a decent philosophy that we're trying to hold true to. And again, maybe there's exceptions to that thought as well. I mean, pitching, I don't think you'd ever ask somebody and say, we've got plenty of pitching.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need any more pitching. So you're always looking for great arms that you think can help you.
You've been very high on that group, and last spring you were very high in that group. Obviously, Kyle helps you get Devers. Landon Roop establishes himself. When you look at that whole group now with Roop and Birdsong and Tidwell and Tang, all these guys, how many of them do you think are in your plans for the start of next year? And how much of this is, like you said, you're going to need them over the course of the year?
I'd say that's up to them. It's up to them on how they perform. So certainly hope that there's a handful of them that we're saying like we need this guy in the rotation or we need him in the pen. But ultimately, it's going to boil down to how they perform.
I'll finish with this. A year ago at this time, you guys are poised to sign Joshua Gonzalez. Has a very good first year. You're poised again to do very well internationally. You've had some time now to look at that. I'm sure maybe something you didn't get to see as much as a player. What kind of impact have you seen from that group on this organization?
Well, Joe Salermo, leading the charge for us in the international department, has done a great job. I mean, Joshua is somebody that we spent some time talking about yesterday, and look, he's 17, 18 years old, but I mean, some of the reviews from our scouts and are glowing reviews. And again, you try not to get too excited because you understand that there's a lot that can change for somebody that's 17 or 18 years old by the time that they're going to be in the big leagues. But he's somebody that we're really excited about. There's a handful of pitchers now that have been at the low A level or high A that have come from the international side that we're really high on. And as you mentioned, hopefully, again, here in a month, we're going to bring in another group of players that have the chance to really help us. Was
there a moment this year watching Joshua in the Dominican? I don't know how much of him you got to see on tape or watching the games that you kind of was like, oh, I get it now. I get why they were so high on him.
I mean, for as much as anything, I think you just look at him and you're like, this is different. You watch the way he walks around the batting tunnel before he even takes a swing. You listen to the ball coming off his bat. The defense is very real. So I think you just combine all that. He's a very confident kid too. So it'll be exciting to watch him. I mean, he's a long way to go still, but it'll be exciting to watch him.
All right, Buster, thank you for the time. I know it's very busy. We'll maybe see you at a press conference at some point in the next few weeks. We'll see.
Maybe. We'll see.
Thanks, Buster.